What's going on? Sombra Piso back once again with yet another video. I wanted to talk about something deep. For some reason, maybe I'm fasting. I've fasted for a while, and so I'm thinking a little deeply. I just was thinking about something. The whole idea of fate, right? Fate is a grand thing. I don't think that a lot of us are really thinking about fate like that. I think we think of fate in a very solipsistic way, in a very selfish way. What is it that fate has in store for me? I want to, have this apartment. I want to live in this country, or I want to have X amount of women in my harem, right? It's not reflective experience, not a self-reflective experience. The same. All right, it's just hypothetical stuff. You sort of believe these things, you believe it's gonna come, and then you get sort of angry at the next month, the next year that these things don't happen even though you chase them. You just sort of realize, wait a minute. I mean, after some time, and then you realize, wait a minute, was I not meant to have anything, really? I'm gonna talk about this right now. Like, comment, subscribe. Right, we're gonna get right into it. Right now, we're currently in Bucharest, Romania. I don't know anything about this place. I don't know anything about this country. We do know a little bit of Romanian. What is it? Bună ziua, something like that. It's like good day. But I think we're in the night, so it's noapti bună. It's good night. We know that, at least. For some reason, that's sticking. But anyway, let's get into something, the topic at hand. When we understand fate, when we truly get into it, I think we then understand fate is not selfish, it's not selective. Sometimes people's lives are just meant to exist and persist only to supplement other people's lives. If you want to bring religion into this, maybe Jesus Christ, right? Jesus Christ himself, he was helping people. And so people were thankful for his existence because they've gotten better through his words, through his aura. He essentially was disciplined, inflicted all of this self-austerity measures only to be a beacon to other people. He didn't really have a powerful life of his own. I know you guys are gonna kill me in the comment section, but just hear me out. Yes, he did sacrifice himself for the betterment of humanity, but again, it just further proves my point that his fate, his preordained destiny, was to be supplementary to other people. And I believe that there are people, like a lot of the devas, right, in Hinduism, a lot of the Asuras, right, they really don't have anything spectacular on their own. A lot of their battles existed to support someone else, supplement someone else's life. Hi, how are you? Noapti bună. Noapti bună. Is that good night?
Noapte bună, da, bravo.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, I'm gonna have the beef noodles. And then can I have the passion fruit lemonade?
Passion fruit.
And then can I just have some water?
Still or sparkling?
Let's do sparkling.
Sparkling.
Please.
Small?
Small, please. How do you say ice? Gets it. Please. Right. Your fate is really, some people's fates, unfortunately and fortunately for the grand scheme of things, because things must run in its efficient, effective, optimal manner, as things must run. Unfortunately, it's that way in regard to the self, because sometimes people have this strong sense of self-worth, self-belief, and then the events of life batter that individual down until they're like a pulp, until they're just like ground beef. They then realize after a long period of time that they were only meant to exist for the sake of others. That's not a bad fate per se, but the whole part of the human experience is to experience what it is, all the facets of being human, to love someone, to be with someone, to taste food, see how powerful, how physically fit the body can become through exercise, through martial arts, using the brain to learn as many languages as you can, to learn as many things as possible, to gain a lot of knowledge. That's the human experience. And I think that it's a little unfortunate. Maybe this is like Luciferic thoughts. Maybe this is what led him to rebel against heaven. Oh, am I having those thoughts now? It's interesting. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's fair that there are some humans that are born that are deprived of the experience of being human only because they are meant to support the existence of another person, for them to be fully human. If you guys understand what I'm saying. I don't think that's, I just don't, I think that's backwards. I think that's not fair to the people that were human, whose lives are meant to be supplementary to others. This could be said for a whole range of things, like the whole idea of, of religion and restraint, because religion and restraint go hand in hand. The whole idea of the various schools of thought to subdue the self, subdue it, control the self, so you are able to tap into a higher purpose. And usually this higher purpose is supplementary, it's secondary to people who can live their lives without even having to be disciplined for a week. The whole idea of semen retention. We're all on semen retention, we're all powering up, we're all, strengthening our minds and whatnot, but don't be fooled. This is a practice that's rooted in a lot of suffering, mental suffering, it's emotional suffering, spiritual suffering, because there's a disconnect that you obtain or sort of develop the longer you are on the practice. The separation is from your peers, the peers that don't, practice semen retention necessarily. And you are in this constant struggle, not only with the people around you, but with yourself, only to become the best version of yourself, to support others. It's not fair, isn't it? It's not fair. I mean, of course, there's like the spiritual well-being that you feel, like that bliss, right? That euphoria that you feel on semen retention. In the beginning, of course, because this practice gets very, 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 very tough the longer you stay on it. So that's a self-benefit, but ultimately, you are subduing the self in order to support others. That is the whole idea of semen retention. That's the whole idea of being disciplined. Ultimately, I think that robs the individual that had no choice to be born of their human experience. Why are there penalties for enjoying yourself as human beings through the facets of the human experience? I'm not saying that we should quit discipline. I'm not saying that we should quit our austerity measures. I'm not saying that we should relinquish our habits, right? Our disciplinary habits. All I'm saying is that you guys should give it a little bit of thought. Some people are allowed to just live their lives. Maybe they apply for work, they get work very quickly, speak to the first girl they see, and they're able to woo that girl automatically. And some people have to sort of suffer and toil endlessly when they're preordained to not have any of the thing that they're chasing. I'm just saying, guys, I'm not, do what you will. I'm still on my semen retention journey. It's 4 months in. We've been, it's like the 9th of April right now. I've been good. Of course, I've been tempted naturally because, it's Eastern Europe. And it's just, I'm a red-blooded male that has urges. But I just know it's right for me. And I also know that I have a belief, faith, right? Which is belief in the unknown. I believe that there's going to be something greater along the line. So, and it helps. It helps out with the content. It helps out with my life. It helps out with my mental wellness and all that stuff. And energy levels, I definitely would not have been able to do what I've been doing in Eastern Europe if it wasn't for this practice. Or maybe I would have. Supplementary faith. It's kind of tough to think about. You think about the concept of it and you realize that it's completely impartial in the way it doles out its modus operandi. But then the ego is involved because we're human beings, right? We live in this human shell. We have a human experience. And you realize that it's kind of unfortunate that perhaps maybe you fall into a category of having a supplementary existence. Things are temporary. Life is temporary. It lasts, but it can't last forever. Can't last forever. But that being said, guys, that is all I have to say about that topic today. If you guys enjoy that kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, share the video with some peers, some friends, family members. Don't let this place get you down. It's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's heavy thinking about something like that. And then you cross-reference a lot of the events that happen in your life, like some of the situations that you got into. Like for me, I sort of realized that after a certain point, and nothing I had was really sustainable. Like a lot of the situations I had, whether it be for work, whether it be like a personal relationship, so on and so forth. I have a good memory, so I sort of remember, you know, faces, how many people were in a room and whatnot, who sat with who didn't sit with who. Maybe that came from hospitality or reinforced through hospitality, and something I always had. But I always like to think, I don't know if you guys ever thought about this, but I think the future is interwoven in every single moment. You know, I see this. Okay. All right. Molto mesh. Da.
Cu plăcere.
Con piacere. Let's go. I like to think that the future is interwoven in every single moment. I see this old guy here on his own. I seriously see that as destiny. Maybe it's something that I have to reluctantly accepting, and maybe when I get older, it's something I'm going to openly accept, sort of like going out in London without a raincoat. But that's what it is. Stay radiant, guys. I'm going to start eating. I'll see you guys in the next video.